Hey everybody, here we are, another demo. I think what I'm going to do here is two demos. First is going to be, I'm going to make a value scale. So there's two parts to this project. The first part is to make a 10-step value scale using only pencil. So you can use a couple different grades of pencil. I'm going to try to pull the whole thing off with just a 2B. And I wanted to just explain to everyone, so the paper that I had sitting outside my office that was rolled up, I don't know if you've tried drawing on it yet, but I forgot how difficult it is when paper's been sitting rolled for a long time to unroll it. So what I did, I have a drawing board here that has like alligator clips on the end, and so I just tucked the paper under here and then took a lot of tape. I taped around around the board and just, you know, basically everything I can do to push that paper down is what I'm doing. So this is a 15 by 22 sheet of paper. It's a half sheet of Stonehenge. And so I'm going to say let's tape off about 2 inches around every edge, except on one of the edges I want you to go in even further. So this is about 3 inches. And then I just put another piece of tape here to just so that it would be pretty quick and easy to build a little value scale right on the edge of the drawing. So now the drawing is going to be on this side of the tape. The value scale is going to be over here. So I want you to do this kind of cleanly, but I don't want to be too anal retentive about it. And I also want this to be as easy as possible for you to just set this up and get moving into the drawing. But the first thing that I need to talk about is how you use pencil to create value. So I'm going to move this in even closer here so that, oops, unbelievable, yeah, so that you can see. I don't think I broke the point. Oh, by the way, I'm going to show you the tip of this pencil. Maybe I did break it. Crap. Okay. Well, I'm going to sharpen it right now. These metal sharpeners are fantastic. I'm going to leave an extra one, a spare, outside my office door, along with some eggs. If you don't have eggs and that becomes a problem for you, that you need eggs to do this still life, because you need 2, I'm going to have some eggs sitting outside my door as well. The only problem with these sharpeners is you have to have a place to put the shavings, so don't make a mess in your apartment. Okay, so make sure that your pencil is very sharp while you're working on the egg drawing, and while you're working on the value scale. You're going to have to sharpen your pencil up, probably. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to bring it in pretty close here. So you can see I've drawn some kind of janky lines there. The first value scale, which is 10, it goes 10, and then it's going to go progressively to 0, or as dark as I can get. In fact, I'm going to get an eraser and lighten up this line just a touch. Before we get into this, because I don't want these lines to get in the way. Okay. Now, the thing about pencils is you never smear them, never smudge them, and I think the way that they work best is to gently make parallel lines. So these hatching lines, I'm going to take a pass across the top. Now I'm going to come down to the next, I guess you could call it a row. Make another pass here. Now I'm going to make one more pass at the bottom until I get to that line. I probably should have brought my reading glasses, because it's a little difficult for me to see up close what I'm getting here. Okay, so I covered that pretty fast. When you first start this hatching technique, you might find that it's a little bit slower. Be patient and don't bear down too quickly. Okay. So now what I'm doing, I'm going over this top half, this top row of this next square, going over it twice. And if you can see, I'm bearing down just a tiny bit more than I was in the first square. Now, I'm going to move the camera in even closer here. Hopefully, okay, hopefully you can see this. The goal here, when you're hatching, is to fill in the white of the paper so that there are no white spots where the paper is just showing through. And the other thing that you don't want to do is you don't want to have any pencil lines. So, let me see what the best angle to see this is. There we go. I think that's a little bit better. So now you can see, this was the first, this is the second. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get a little lazy here for a second. And I'm going to show you what you don't want to do. What you don't want to do is make a line like that. So you can see, I mean, even as hard as it is for the camera to read what I'm doing right now, you can see that line there, and it doesn't work. So when that happens, clean up my eraser here a little bit. Probably a kneaded eraser is the best way to go back into here. What you don't want to do, here's the thing. With these erasers, the white plastic erasers, you have to be really careful because they can smear the graphite. Now a 2B graphite is not terribly smudgy, but if you go to like a 4B or 6B, it is. And what you'll find is when you try to erase, what'll happen instead is it'll just kind of smush all over the place and it'll leave kind of a weird blurry little smear streak. Okay. So I think we cleaned that up. Okay, so now I'm going to keep on going. So I'm making the first pass pretty light. Oh, I'm doing a demo.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I'm doing a video. No, you're fine. So I'm going to make a pass the same way that I did in the previous block. Okay, looks like I need to get a little bit darker down on the bottom part of this. Now, one thing I'll say is when you're hatching with pencil, it takes a little bit of patience. So, am I dark enough to be a logical next step from, oops, grabbed the wrong thing here. No, I'm not. It's still too close to what I just made. So, I'm going to make another pass, but this time I'm going to change the angle. Go like this. So now we're cross-hatching. I have to be careful not to go past that boundary at the top. Now, I'm finding that I'm kind of turning the pencil over, because I can tell where the sharpest point of the pencil is. I can tell when my pencil lead is starting to get just a little bit too thick. It needs to be sharpened. Probably it needs to be sharpened very soon. Okay, I hope this isn't the most boring demo video that's ever happened. No, I know it's not. I watched some of those other YouTube videos on hatching techniques, and they're about as boring as this. So here we go. There's a third gradation. So I'm gonna try to pick up the speed just a little bit here. So now I'm gonna bear down just a little bit more. I think in order to do this, I might need to. It's funny, this whole easel is shaking a little bit now. I'm going to have to keep these rows maybe a little bit shorter than they were in the previous. So one question you might have is, do they have to be, when you do hatching, does it have to be angled like this? And the answer, of course, is no, whatever is comfortable. One of the things that happens, now, you might be able to see in this new box, there's a little bit of, you can see some lines starting to show through a little bit in between. So I'm getting dark next to light lines in here. So now the goal is to go back in between there, fill those spaces in. Guess what? Next pass, do the cross-hatching technique again. Now, I have to watch where my hand is. My pinky started to come down, and if I'm not careful, if I drift off, then I'm going to start to smudge some of the work that I've already made. Okay, now I'm gonna make a clear boundary here now. So I want to be able to tell where the beginning of this box is. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. So I've got 4 steps of gray. Now I'm gonna zoom to the darkest one. So I'm going to skip over some of these. How many minutes do I have on here? Oops, that was weird. I don't know. I don't know how many minutes it is, but I'm going to bounce down here to the, what are we at? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're going to call this 9. Let's see how dark we can get. So here's what I'm going to do. Same as I've done before. This is a tiny bit scribbly, so I'm going to go back and forth a couple times. Now, a lot of times when I'm hatching like this, I think of my hand as being like a machine. It doesn't have to think. All that stuff that we've learned about line sensitivity, responding to the contours, having empathy for the surface, all that stuff is meaningless when we turn on the hatching machine. So all we want here is just for everything to be the same. Okay, so this is a start. Now, I'm going to come across this way, Try to move a little bit faster here now. I'm realizing I'm putting a bit of pressure on the side here, which is, have I sharpened this pencil yet? No. Okay. I just realized the camera can barely see this. Move it down just a little bit more. Okay, so I just have my pinky anchored out here. This is one of those things where you're not drawing from your shoulder. You're not making big movements. This is entirely working from the wrist. Now, do you see how I still have some lines in the middle there, taking a pass down this way? Now, you might be surprised to know that this might be as dark as we want to go. So I can find a couple more values in between here. What I would say is if you get to, let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8. So this would have been number 9. You might find that if you get to about number 7, you're starting to get to the end of what the pencil can do. So I'm just for giggles, I'm going to go one more, and I'm going to really bear down on this and see what I can get. Sure enough, this turns to crap. It looks, these kinds of lines, what I'm actually doing here at the bottom, this is so bad. This is what you don't do. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this is what you don't do. You can push really hard with a pencil and you can make these lines. I don't know, can I redeem this? Can I do it? I don't know. Let's see. The problem is that this is so dark and I'm having to push on the paper so hard that it's starting to emboss the surface of the paper. So if I ever wanted to erase this, good luck. It's actually creating a texture in the paper. So this is too dark. That was fun. See the difference in the texture between the two. Oops, what just happened here? Yeah, this one, I don't know. It's almost passable, but I think it's a little dangerous. Now, here's the truth. The still life looks like this. There's, I'm only going to be drawing the eggs and the background. So this is going to be the next video. It's going to get more exciting, I think, I hope, I promise. It's going to be more exciting than hatching a value scale. So I'm going to hit stop and reorient here and get a drink of hard alcohol, no, water.